You know the Mark 23? This gun from Tokyo Marui? Critically acclaimed pistol? You know, while it may not have the blowback, what it does have is incredible gas efficiency. It's very good looking, but most importantly, it's exceptionally accurate. The Mark 23 is probably the only pistol you can truly snipe with. And you can easily find so many airsoft snipers around the world posting gameplay videos of them silently taking out countless opposing players with nothing but this particular pistol. You see, the Mark 23's perceived weakness, its lack of blowback, is actually its greatest strength. Because of this lack of blowback, you have an incredibly quiet pistol. It's also very gas efficient because it doesn't need to waste any extra gas to drive the slide back. Essentially, what it's giving you is a pocket sniper. However, it does have its drawbacks. And its drawbacks are, well, it's still a pistol at the end of the day. As a pistol, you need to deal with all the pistol aspects of the gun. It's only equipped with front and rear iron sights. It's still subject to subtle movements in your hand, which can in turn cause inaccuracies downrange. And let's face it, there's not much you can add to it in terms of creature comforts. So with all that said, it's funny how people have always wanted to turn something like this into this. What is this? This is the Novritsch SSX303. And of his whole lineup of products, this is the one that I'm truly the most excited and fascinated with, even compared to some of his sniper rifles. And I'm here to tell you why. The concept of a carbine kit is nothing new, especially in the real steel world, and it was probably made most famously by CAA's Ronin kit in the airsoft world. So the concept of putting a pistol in a more stable platform for better control and use, again, is not a new concept. What is new is how these kits have been executed. There are two schools of thought when you think about the modern carbine kit. On one end of the spectrum, you have things like a pistol with a stock, things like the ASG USW. Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have something that I have called a Glock in a box. I mean, okay, it's not a Glock and it's not a box. What I'm trying to say is a pistol that is integrated into the kit itself. Think about guns like the SMC9 and this guy right here, all integrated right into the chassis. The SSX303 from Novritsch aims to be the definitive integrated carbine solution for the Mark 23. Note I said definitive solution, because if you do a simple YouTube search, you'll find a ton of different carbine kits for the Mark 23, some even made by well-known manufacturers. After doing all those searches and probably watching a video or two, you probably come to the conclusion, why did those kits not work? Or why did some of them fail where I believe the SSX303 will succeed? Well, the answer is pretty simple. First, let's look at the SSX303. Unlike the others, the 303 is CNC aluminum. It's robust and it feels high quality to the touch. Right out of the box, already scoring high points. It's got a very handsome adjustable stock. It comes standard with a 14mm CCW threaded outer barrel. More on that later. And most importantly, a redesigned hop-up adjuster. As I mentioned earlier, as a completely integrated solution, I want to give you an example as to why I think this is a very well executed design from Novritsch and his team. Let's look at the hop-up. You see, the hop-up is right here, easy to access, and the knob is nice and large. This allows you to quickly adjust the hop-up on the fly. Thank you, Novritsch, for making our lives so much easier, as sometimes these integrated kits do make adjusting the hop-up slightly difficult. My one thing that I would add though is maybe if there was a flap you can put on to close this so no dirt and gunk gets in or anything can mess up the adjustment. But then again, the knob is pretty stiff, so nothing is gonna knock it out of place once it's set. Earlier, I talked about an outer barrel. Now, what exactly was I talking about? Well, the SSX303 has a longer inner barrel inside. This bad boy has a 303 maple leaf inner barrel for optimum precision. You can also swap it out for a longer one if you want. The inner barrel is neatly tucked inside of this outer barrel that is promised to have no movement for added precision. The SSX303 has a QD point at the base here underneath the buffer tube and at the base here at the bottom of the stock. It has a monolithic style upper Picatinny rail and M-lock slots at the 1, 3, 6, 9, and 11 o'clock positions. Interesting placement to say the least. Also, finally, the magazine of the SSX303 is compatible with the Tokyo Marui Mark 23 mags. One thing I do have to say though, the latch here, when you insert the magazine, drops a little and it does pinch your finger. If you're not wearing gloves, it's gonna pinch you. If you're wearing gloves, you're not gonna feel it. I don't like to wear gloves. Well, that's my problem. I'm using 0.2 gram BBs and green gas. Man, it is great to be back in the outdoors, and I have a target set up 30 meters down that way. Now we're gonna be moving it progressively back. The reason why is because we're gonna accomplish 3 things here today. The first thing is we're gonna be testing the trajectory and capability of the SSX303 and how it compares to the Mark 23. Second thing we're gonna do is we're gonna move it back a little bit closer and see how tight of a group it can hold. And the final thing, we're gonna put how deadly silent the gun is to the test. Well, the Quake test. We're gonna have Quake step 5, 10, and 15 meters away to see if he can hear the gun being fired. We will also be pitting that against the Mark 23. Well, less of me talking, more of me shooting. Let's go. The BBs are definitely reaching out here beyond 50 meters. There's a bit of wind today. I'm using 0.3 gram BBs, but it's definitely hitting well past that target in a pretty straight trajectory. In striving to hit the 50-meter target, I missed a few shots, but I can clearly see that both guns can easily shoot well past 50 in a very straight trajectory. I'm gonna move it one more time to 60 meters just to see if we can get there. If we can hit it, great, but I'm absolutely sure it's gonna reach out to 60. Let's go. $60. And as I was missing, some of the BBs were going just past the target, then starting to dip. Now, where we are filming, we are power restricted to under 2 joules. The SSX303 is touted to be a gun that can shoot above 2 to about 3 joules. Now, given the fact that most of the world lives in places where energy is restricted, this thing shooting where it's at right now, completely flat like a laser beam, is very good. I'm also very impressed with the Mark 23 because it's keeping up, you know, shot for shot with the SSX303. The Mark 23 is getting there shot for shot. It's dipping right at the base of the target. I'm gonna take 2 more shots. Okay, 1 more for good measure. Yeah, the Mark 23 is getting right to the target before it dips under it and it goes under the target. So it is definitely reaching out to 60 meters. It is not getting there as quickly as the SSX303 due to the lower velocity. But what I am seeing though, it is still a very capable pistol out to that distance. I'm very impressed. Now let's move on to the accuracy test. We're gonna see how tight of a group the SSX303 can hold at about 20 meters or so. Good form, Team Novritsch. The SSX303 holds a very tight group. All right, now's a part of the test I'm sure many of you have been waiting for. We're gonna see just how deadly silent the SSX303 is gonna be compared, of course, to the Mark 23. Now, we have Quake here for the Quake test. What that means is I'm gonna take 1 shot and Quake will move progressively 5 meters back. And let's see how far he has to move back before he just can't hear the shot. If he can hear the shot, give us a thumbs up. And if he can't hear the shot, he'll shake his head. Okay, both guns. One shot, one shot. Okay, now 10 meters. All right. 15 meters. Ah, so 15 meters, he can no longer hear the Mark 23. Quake is now roughly 20 meters away. He can still hear it at 20 meters away. Move back, Quake, move back. All right, now he's at 25 meters. And he can still hear it. Okay. Move back one more time. And you can still hear it at about 30 meters away. I'm not trying to say that it is not as deadly quiet as advertised. Now, we're in a very quiet forested area. There's a bit of ambient noises. So yes, it will slightly make this gun sound a little louder than, of course, the Mark 23. Also, a contributing factor what makes this one slightly louder is there's just more oomph coming out. There's more power behind each BB. There's a little bit more gas, making it a little bit of a louder gun. However, when things are happening and you're in a game zone and when your target is at your range of ideal engagement, which is like 40 meters and out, I'm absolutely sure they will not hear this gun. But it's good to know that we did this for science. Interesting results all around. These two basically kind of performed as to what I had in mind. Now, with that said, let's go back to the studio. I think Quake is being eaten alive by mosquitoes out here. Let's go. So before Novritsch was the purveyor of high quality sniper rifles under his own brand, he actually picked 3 top sniper rifles. You want to know which ones those are? Why don't you click on the video in the card above, or you can find it in the description below. Did that together a few years ago in the old studio, bringing it back for your viewing pleasure. The SSX303. What are my thoughts? Well, let me tell you this. This gun has a lot going for it. To start, it is highly accurate, very consistent. It can shoot very straight with minimal hop-up adjustment. And if you threw heavier weighted BBs in this gun, I'm absolutely sure you'll get even more stability down range. Now, we were using 0.3s, and it could easily reach past 60, shooting straight. While there was a bit of drift because of the wind and some other variables, that's why I said use heavier weight BBs and you won't have those issues. The second part, I want to talk about the sound and the deadly silent part of this gun. Now, before we even shot the video, we unscrewed both guns' suppressors and we shot them both side by side. They sounded about the same. Matter of fact, the SSX303 was a little bit louder without the suppressor than with the suppressor on. Now, many of you may say, oh, it's because the Mark 23 has the foam suppressor. That's why it's so much more quiet. In real life, both guns actually sounded almost the same, with the SSX303 being slightly louder, but I've explained that earlier in the video. Also bear in mind that the Mark 23, I pushed it further away from me, further from the microphone that was attached to my sweater. The SSX303 was closer, so it picked up more audio to make it sound louder as you were watching it on screen. Finally, I do want to say I had a very good time shooting this gun. I really enjoyed trying this as a product that is kind of new in this category. I know the Mark 23 has been around forever, but to execute it in a very rounded way, in a complete package like how it is shown today, I feel like really Only Novritsch could have brought this to market, so big props to them. And to innovate it in such a compact package to perform how it does, really hats off to you guys there, Novritsch and your team. So, but what do you guys think? Do you think this is the natural evolution of the Mark 23 platform? Or you prefer using the sniper in the form of a pistol, the Mark 23 itself? Let me know all that in the comment section below. Now, if you want cool products like this, or the Mark 23, or many others, go to our online store, www.redwolfairsoft.com. If you like this video, give us a like. If you thought it was cool, share it with your friends. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every time we upload a new video. And with all that said, guys, I'm gonna go enjoy this a little bit more. Have a good one.
Trying to get my attention, trying to get your redemption, but now that